custodians of the land on which we gather today, the Turrbal people. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and recognise their enduring connection to country, culture, and community. I honour the stories, languages, and traditions that have shaped Minjin for countless generations, and I commit to walking together in spirit of reconciliation. Today I will be presenting you the importance of children's literature and its role in supporting early literacy and language development in 5-year-olds. It is essential to recognise that each child's language and literacy development is shaped by their individual experiences. This could stem from things such as visual or hearing impairments, or from being gifted and talented. However, this presentation will focus specifically on children from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, particularly those who speak a language other than English at home, also known as English and another language learners. Cultural language theory. Children's language acquisition is understood to emerge from social, familial, and cultural experiences. By the age of 5, children are expected to use linguistic speech, typically forming complete sentences, while continuing to develop their receptive and expressive language skills. Children are not a blank canvas, though. According to Fellows and Oakley, sociocultural theory includes the cultural context of children's lives and highlights how environmental conditions can influence literacy and language development, either positively or negatively. This is why I believe it is important for future educators to engage with Vygotsky's social cultural theory, as it supports understanding the language and literacy levels of culturally diverse students. Furthermore, Vygotsky's theory has been influential in the study of children's cognition. While he agreed with Piaget that children are constructed beings, Vygotsky emphasized that cognitive development is a socially mediated process, in which children rely on support from adults and more capable peers. This reinforces the idea that children's language and literacy development is significantly shaped by social exchanges, especially those rich in guidance and support, where communicative intent plays a central role in expressing and sharing meaning. It is crucial for teachers seeking to understand the diverse levels of literacy and language acquisitions among children. In Australia, we are fortunate to have a rich history of multiculturalism that continues to shape our society, with 29% of the population born overseas and 48% having at least one parent born overseas. However, for those arriving in an English-speaking country, language barriers can pose significant challenges requiring thoughtful adaptation, especially considering that 1 in 5 Australians speak a language other than English at home. This is where sociocultural theory supports EALD learners. It emphasizes guided interaction and teacher support to help students navigate new literacy and language environments. As Burke and Mears explain, sociocultural theory emphasizes how cultural knowledge is transmitted across generations, shaping the development of cognitive and communicative skills through socially mediated experiences. One effective way to apply sociocultural theory is supporting EALD learners' language and literacy development is through the use of culturally inclusive literature that also supports oral language development. Educational purposes, but its influences extend further. It invites readers into another world where imagination constructs meaning and fosters deep cognitive engagement. For some, literature has also provided a way to connect with characters whose background mirror their own. Such connections are made through quality literature. In Australia, many children have limited access to literature beyond the classroom, which can hinder their language and literacy development. This challenge is particularly significant for EALD learners, whose families may not speak or read English at home. What is quality literature, though? The New South Wales Department of Education defines quality children's literature as text that is widely regarded and rich in imagery, extending and enriching meaning while also serving as a model for children to compose their own text. Literature plays a vital role in supporting children's social and emotional development. Through reading, children learn to empathize, appreciate diverse viewpoints, and engage thoughtfully with others' beliefs and opinions. Quality literature can also be multimodal, incorporating visual, linguistic, audio, gestural, and spatial elements, which creates diverse and engaging pathways into literary experiences. As Johnson explains, literature activities all dimensions of literacy: reading, writing, speaking, listening, and viewing across varied contexts, enabling readers to interpret meaning through both language and image. Quality literature enables teachers to better understand children from EALD backgrounds, as Ainsley and Ball explain that it offers insight into the experiences of those around us and the richness of diverse cultural perspectives. EALD student. Quinn is a Vietnamese-speaking Year 1 student whose family recently relocated from Hanoi to an inner-city suburb in Queensland, Australia. She is now enrolled in a local city school. As a learner of English as an additional language, Quinn is currently receiving targeted support in oral language, phonics, and spelling, particularly with consonant blends such as pl, st, and cl, to support her literacy development. Quinn's experiences reflect the broader developmental needs of EALD learners, who benefit from targeted literacy support and exposure to rich, varied text to build English proficiency across all language modes. EALD learners develop English language proficiency across all modes through exposure to a broad range of texts, including decodable readers and high-quality literature. To support early reading development, these learners need to build a rich oral vocabulary and develop an understanding of English words, meaning they can draw upon when decoding print. At this foundational stage, they are simultaneously acquiring skills in word recognition, phonics, and reading comprehension. Exposure to quality literature is essential, as it provides meaningful language models and helps EALD students learn the vocabulary structures used to describe the word around them. For Quinn, access to quality children's literature provides rich language input, contextual vocabulary, and engaging narratives that strengthen her oral language, phonics, and spelling, laying a vital foundation for her English literacy development. The role of quality literature in supporting and scaffolding the language development of EALD learners, I'll use the early childhood book The Wobbly Bike by Darren McCallum, which was also shortlisted for the 2025 CBCA Early Childhood category. This quality piece of children's literature explores the themes of perseverance, friendship, and sustainability, relatable concepts for 5-year-olds, especially EALD learners such as Quinn, who must persevere when acquiring a new language and seek friendship as they adjust to life in a new country. Furthermore, the educational benefits of this book are plentiful. It supports oral language development through word repetition and descriptive vocabulary, while also promoting narrative comprehension through clear sequencing and familiar, meaningful events, perfect for students such as Quinn. Literacy and language development, it is essential to design a scaffold that supports her progression towards age-appropriate English proficiency as a 5-year-old EALD learner. Vygotski's concept of the zone of proximal development helps identify the sweet spot between what a learner can do independently and what they can achieve with guidance from a more knowledgeable other. Let's break down the zone of proximal development into 3 zones. Zone 1. The child cannot do the task, even with assistance. Zone 2. The child can do the task with guidance or support. Zone 3. The child can do the task independently. Zone 1 begins with an assessment of Quinn's literacy and language skills, focusing on her knowledge of letters and sounds. As she is an EALD learner, her skills are still developing. At this stage, the educator will read The Wobbly Bike aloud. During reading, it is important to provide cognitive support by asking Quinn questions about the story and highlighting key words and pictures to strengthen comprehension. Additionally, breaking down words and sounds in the book will offer oral support, contributing to Quinn's reading and writing development. Zone 2 begins with when Quinn is able to pronounce words and participate in shared reading with the teacher, further developing her speaking skills through repeated engagement with literacy and language tasks. Burke and Mears describe Zone 2 as the point where an educator introduces a new activity that is within the child's reach, challenging enough that they cannot complete it independently but achievable with guided support. Then Zone 3 begins when Quinn is ready to challenge herself by reading the book independently. This stage may take longer to reach, so Zone 2 is the ideal target for her current development, enabling her to read alongside her peers and teacher in the classroom. To recognize that all children are unique in their language and literacy development journeys. Understanding how culturally diverse language acquisition shapes the development of an EALD learner through the lens of Vygotsky's social-cultural theory can guide effective teaching. Using quality literature alongside strategies such as scaffolding can significantly support their growth in literacy and language. Thank you for listening to today's presentation.